What's going on, guys? Chase here, and welcome to one of the first videos here on my channel. And I figured what better way to start a channel than what's in your camera bag video. But figured we'd have a twist on it here. So instead of doing a what's in your camera bag, I'm going to do a what's on my camera car 2021. So in today's video, I'm going to take you guys through all the stuff we attached to my baby Jeep to make it into the fully rigged camera car that we use to get awesome shots like this. Before we get to some cool camera car, this thing is my daily driver and this is how it always is. We actually have to rig the camera car up to make it all cool and useful. So before we get started, let's get this thing rigged up with all the camera car stuff, and then we'll go over all the individual parts so you guys know what they do. And that way it will go from a grocery getter to a epic camera car vehicle. Let's get started. Okay guys, so this is basically the, I guess, skeleton, if you want to look at it that way, that is going to be used to attach all of the camera car elements to the actual car. So on the top, directly attached to the roof rack of the Jeep, we have those little half holes that I slide the speed rails in. All of these rods are speed rails. They're just like aluminum pipe. Don't know why they're called speed rails. We've got these two clamps that are holding our little triangular pattern. And this big guy, this big speed rail here, which is going to be what we attach everything to, is mounted at the bottom, hard mounted into the Jeep. It's on the trailer hitch. That thing will go nowhere. It will follow the Jeep wherever it goes. The roof rack is not as stable, but it's plenty stable, and I'll show you guys all the other kind of vibration isolation that we have for the rest of it. But this is kind of the skeleton of the camera car. Things are not attaching to the actual, like, body of the car. They're attaching to this stuff. So now we get to put all the fun toys on. Alright guys, so this is one of the key units of the camera car that we're using. It is a Flow Cine black arm, and what this guy does is dampens the movement of the camera for up and down and left and right. So that way if we went over a speed bump or something like that, the car is going to be bumping, but this is going to keep the camera weighted and where it is in space and time. So attached to the black arm, we have the tranquilizer. So there's different types of heads you can put on it. The tranquilizer, from what I've seen, is by far the best thing for it. We've got it fully weighted with all of the tranquilizer plates. What these plates are doing is you have to weigh your gimbal, which is what we'll assemble down here in a second. You have to weigh that, weigh your camera, lens, focus units, everything that's going to be attached to your camera, because that is what the weight needs to match for these little rubber bushings right here. These all have a certain weight, so the goal is to make it as heavy as you can, because the heavier this is, the more stable this is going to be. This black arm is what we use for on-road and off-road use, and it is dumb stable. But we can't just use this to stabilize the camera. We also need to be able to move the camera while we're driving the car. So what we're going to install now is the gimbal that we use, and that combined with the black arm is what actually gives us our super stable shot. So that's the black arm. Super, like, you have to have some sort of tranquilizer, but y'all also got to have a gimbal. So let's get the gimbal on, and we are one step closer to having a camera car. guys, so before we get the camera on, just wanted to show you guys the gimbal we're using. We're using a DJI Ronin 2. DJI makes a ton of gimbals. This is their bigger, more professional one. The payload of this can pretty much handle any camera we're going to be testing on this channel. We're going to rig up our camera in a second and show you guys what this whole rig looks like, but with this channel we plan on testing other cameras and other lenses and stuff like that, so this guy should, I mean, this thing can hold like movie cameras, so I don't think it's gonna have a problem with our payload. But what this gimbal does, you know, because we already talked about, we got the black arm up here to dampen all the movement that the car is doing. So the point of the gimbal is to keep horizon of the camera. So I showed you guys, you know, the black arm will be rotating side to side. And if we didn't have the gimbal, the camera would get sideways. But the gimbal here keeps the camera at horizon. It also allows us to move the camera around, pointed at different things. So without that, the camera would just have to stick on the back of here. So the black arm would essentially be pointless if it wasn't paired with some sort of gimbal. There's tons of gimbals out there. We chose to go with DJI because I'm familiar with the brand. And so far, we've been rocking this thing for over a year now and absolutely love it. So all of this is pointless without a camera attached to it. So let's get the camera, our workhorse camera, attached to it. I'm going to get it rigged up exactly like we would rig it if we were doing camera car work. And that'll be the end of the camera car stuff. So let's get the camera on there.
Tell me about it, Chase.
No, just sirens and circular saws and horns. You'd think we're in New York.
You know,
we're in Woodstock, Georgia. Alright guys, so we have our typical camera package set up. We have our Canon C200, that's our kind of main workhorse camera. We've paired the C200 with a Canon Cineservo 18-80. Our Fizz unit, we have the Nucleus M, and for our video transmission, we have the Teradek. So, you guys know what the camera does, right? C200, love this. God. Anybody watching this that makes YouTube videos knows exactly the pain that we're going through. We've been using the C200 for a little over a year now, and have absolutely loved it. It's my first kind of like cinema camera, even though it's a cinema camera light. I am so sorry for the audio. We're going to be okay. He wasn't doing this before we started talking. Can we be clear?
Yeah, 100%.
When we were shooting B-roll where we don't need audio, none of this was happening.
It was dead silent. It was great.
Just to be clear, we're here editing the video. Do you guys hear anything? No, you don't. Because he's not making the noise anymore. He was literally making the noise while we were doing talk to camera. Okay. This is the life of a YouTuber, so let's get back to the YouTube stuff. That's a timeline. So, we've had the C200 for a little over a year. Have absolutely loved it. It was my first kind of like cinema camera. Life-changing to have a cinema camera. Cineservo 18-80, another great lens. We're going to talk about these things in other videos. This video is not about the actual camera stuff we're using. The Nucleus M stuff is our Fizz unit. Fizz stands for focus, iris, and zoom. These allow us to zoom in and out. It allows us to change the aperture. It allows us to change the focus, all from inside of the car. So that's the only way we're able to do that. And the Teradek is what transmits our video from the camera to the inside of the car. Now, we're going to do the inside of the car in another video, just because it's a whole thing in and of itself. But I do want to show you guys what kind of control we have with this, with the control unit. So let's check those out real quick. Alright guys, so this is the controller for the Ronin, so we'll get it turned on real quick. You're going to see the Ronin move for a second. So it's good to go. So this is what allows us to pan left and right. It allows us to tilt up and down. And we don't really necessarily use it, but if we wanted to change the roll, we could. These top buttons just change the speed at which the pan, so if we put the pan up all the way to the top, you know, it makes us go a lot faster. If we put the pan all the way down, you can get much more smooth moves. So that's how we control the Ronin. Alright guys, so the batteries for this thing are dead. This is the controller for the Nucleus M. So typically when I rotate this little knob, we can map that to one of these motors and they will rotate the zoom, the focus, the iris, whatever we have them set onto. So with this dead, this is pointless. But what you guys can see is when we turn these on, you'll watch them rotate these little gears on the lens. So check this out. So every time they have to calibrate to know what the endpoints of the lens are, that is what we can control with this guy inside the car. So you guys stay tuned for another video. We'll take you guys inside the car in that video, because unfortunately it's raining today. Of course. Alright guys, so that is the camera car rig. Between the speed rails and the black arm, the Ronin 2, you know, all the camera package. That's what allows us to get shots on our First Ride series over on my motorcycle channel that look like this. If it wasn't for this entire package, we would not be able to get shots like that. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this whole kind of, not what's in my camera bag, but what's on my camera car. And hopefully we're going to be able to use this setup a lot on this channel. We want to kind of give you guys a perspective that we don't really get to see a lot here on YouTube. And if we got the gear, we might as well use it. And do you think they should subscribe if they want to see more? Yes, you should definitely subscribe so you guys can see more of what we do with this camera car. Our goal on this channel is to kind of do camera testing and lens testing, but not like all the other camera channels on here. We want to throw everything on the camera car and see what we can do with it. Thank you guys for watching this video. It is a huge help if you hit the like button. If you enjoyed the video, it always helps us out. And yeah. Make sure to subscribe to see more of camera car stuff. Right? Right. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.